Welcome to Stevie G's Energy Corner. Hey, W, how you doing this morning?
Good morning, Steve. I'm upright and able to take nourishment, and it's a good day.
I understand that, my brother. You're looking good for being down there in Ponte Vedra. I'm surprised you're not out on the beach, but I know it's kind of early.
Yeah, well, it's a little cold for us too. It's like 45 right now.
Damn, son, you're like the temperature up north. What happened? You moved to Georgia today?
Yeah, we had a beautiful day yesterday to take Christmas decorations down. It was about 75, so that's one of the good reasons of living here.
I understand that. So, I'm amazed that we caught you. Like you're physically in Florida today, because
Yeah.
usually you're like flying, like out the door, going out to Jack's Airport, flying out, going somewhere. So I'm amazed that you're home for 2 days.
Yeah, it's I have this thing called PTO. We call it pretend time off, and
Right.
so I took some of that, and it's only second day into the year, so I'm taking off this whole week to to not be on an airplane.
I understand that. So you're probably on a plane on Monday to go help people with their lighting, the LED lighting, military base, the post office. So where are you going on Monday?
Yeah, I'll be heading up north to North Carolina.
Oh,
So-
jeez. Hey, my brother, you got a winter jacket? You got a winter jacket there, buddy?
oh yeah, I got a winter camo. Um, it's I'm doing some work right now with the post office, still doing some work with DoD and Custom Border Patrol. Um, and it's it 2025 is shaping up to be a pretty daggone good year, and even though that it's only the second day in.
I hear that. So what's new in the industry? Because I know that if we walk into Walmart, you got your phone, they can buzz you to tell you what's on sale. If you look at a Huffy bike, they can tell you the bikes are over in this aisle and going on. And I know you guys were also putting in when the pandemic came that you started having stuff inside the light fixtures to be able to take care of that infamous virus that was floating around in the air.
Yeah, we've there's a couple of different things that are going on in the industry itself, beyond the energy piece of it, and that's strictly from a control standpoint. Uh, we can we can run any building system now pretty much through the controls in the light fixtures. And the interesting thing about that is you have more light fixtures in your building, physical light fixtures in your building than any other kind of system. There's one every 100 square feet pretty much.
Right.
And so we can track everything, humidity, temperature, people, product, all kinds of different things. And so it opens up a variety of different options and capabilities for customers, any client, whether it's retail or government, from the standpoint of being able to use it as a tracking device as well as a controls device. And beyond that, with the pandemic, there's so much, there was so much confusion
Yeah.
around the pandemic and what was causing things to happen. We spent billions and billions of dollars on cleaning surfaces, and then we figured out that you don't actually get the virus from touch.
Right.
It's in the air. And so we worked with another company to create a delivery system for cleaning the air, not filtering it. It's a big difference between filtration and cleaning. I mean, ASHRAE talks about filtration and air exchanges.
Yeah.
We don't do that. We talk about actually cleaning the air, because if somebody sneezes across the room and it's being pulled across the entire space to a plenum to go up into the filtration system, then the entire room has basically been affected by that
Contaminated. Yeah.
sneeze. If you put a light fixture, say, above that cubicle, that person sneezes and the air typically can be cleaned within that space almost immediately. So that's kind of what we went. It's gained some traction, but not a lot, because as the pandemic waned and um, there was so much mistrust about
Well,
what
yeah,
was being
exactly.
said, and that became very difficult to figure out how to market this to people as a device.
Without freaking them out.
And then it came down to a cost issue.
Yeah,
It's at what cost is keeping people safe important? And there's an answer to that. I'm not prepared to give the answer because it's becomes a delicate situation. I mean, how much is a human life worth?
right,
And
exactly. And that's the whole point of, that there's so much going on. You and I, we flew all during the pandemic. It didn't slow you down. It didn't slow me down. I still flew 40 times a year, no problem through the pandemic years. Each year, 40 times. I saw the people dressed up in hazmat suits cleaning the planes. I saw people coming on the plane, wiping everything down. But you don't see it anymore. You know,
well,
it's
it's funny that they made a big deal. When I fly on a particular airline, and it always struck me. I don't. Whenever somebody makes a statement, my question is always why.
well, yeah.
And the why that occurred to me is the statements that they were making around cleanliness of the plane was nothing more than a marketing ploy. It was not the truth, because let's face it, the pilots and the flight attendants and the gate agent are not in charge of cleaning a plane, and they have no idea what the cleaning standards of the CDC are. So to make that statement is fruitless and stupid, because I took a picture on the plane that had been cleaned to the highest standards of the CDC, and it looked like somebody had stuffed toe jam down into the middle of the hinge of the tray. And I'm like, okay, if this is clean, I mean, look, I'm I'm not I'm not I'm not a cleaning expert, but if
Right.
you've got to pry it out with a toothpick and a screwdriver to get the dirt out of it, then that's probably not clean. Uh,
Exactly. Hey,
and so
so
it just struck me as stupid that people made those kind of statements, and it just contributed to the difficulty of actually finding what facts are.
it absolutely. So I know you deal. We just said a bunch with the federal government, right? The post office is one of those quasi government agencies. You got the VA, you got DOD, and everybody. So let's get another little myth out there, okay? So
Okay.
you got BA, right? You know, Buy American, right?
Yeah.
Then you got BABA, which is Buy American, Built America, right?
Yeah.
and and there's a big difference. So the feds have it, state government's starting to get some of that stuff in there. So you might tell everybody what the difference is, because I still have to go educate people that, hey, BA is not the same as Baba, and Baba's in the specs. This is what you got to have, and you can't just go use whatever LED fixture you want to use that's made in China and not made in the United States.
Yeah, it's a great question, and I've been on a kind of a crusade, and this for
Well,
years.
you're always the leader of the crusade. I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
you as a Roman soldier, man, with that, with your helmet on and that sword.
yeah, because I'm not afraid of being hissed at either. So the Buy American compliance is Buy American is as a legislated act that was written in 1933. There's been all kinds of misconceptions about Buy American because Congress failed to identify what manufacture meant. There was no
Well, that doesn't
definition.
surprise me.
It doesn't. There's no definition of manufacture, and so it just created confusion. And as they create guidance around it, it made it it defined it better, I should say. Let me start with BABA, or let me go back to BABA. Buy American, Build American came out of the Infrastructure Act in 2021. And the guidance around that wasn't written for about a year after the act was actually signed. And so what it does is BABA is a particular linchpin that goes into any of the money that was distributed to the states and local governments from the Infrastructure Act had a requirement to meet Buy American, Build American. And Buy American, Build American meant that you had to have a 65% content of the product itself. In other words, the cost of the product itself had to be made up of 65% of USA made items.
Okay.
Drivers, from an LED standpoint, the drivers, the chips, the metal, the screws, the lens, whatever, a combination that had to be 65%.
Okay.
Way beyond what the Buy American Act has definitions around. So it's much more difficult to attain that. There are a couple of companies that actually have BABA compliance and have gone through the legal process of securing that. My company, Orion Energy Systems, is one of them.
Correct.
But we've only got a limited line. We have about 5 or 6 different brand types that are in a high bay, a strip fixture, a troffer fixture, those kinds of things. What happens is if you've accepted that infrastructure money as a state or muni, you have to have that component, but you can get a waiver. However, I know of nobody that has written the waiver. I know of nobody, therefore, that's actually gotten a waiver.
Right.
And then you're basically committing fraud at that point because
Totally.
you've accepted the money and you haven't gone through the process.
Right.
And the waiver process, the way the legislation is written, only lasts for 6 months. And it's required. For instance, if you have a regular A19 lamp, that's a screw-in lamp that you put in any light fixture in your house, and you have a 5,000K, a 44,000K, and a 3,500K, that would require 3 waivers, not just one. And so it's a pretty arduous process. And I think it was done intentionally to literally promote stuff that's made in the United States.
Well, yeah, I could see that. I mean,
And you have to be very careful when the term that I just said, made in the United States, is another term that gets confused by people, where it says made in the USA. Made in the USA is not a legislated saying. It is a trademark that the federal FTC controls.
okay.
And if made in the USA means, and it's beyond Baba at that point, made in the USA means all or virtually all of the product itself, everything in the product is made in the United States.
Which is
Everything.
kind of hard to do for lighting
It's
because
it's
if you're
almost
getting stuff from China, right? It's just like
it's
the
almost
computers. So much is
impossible.
coming.
Even
Yeah.
if you don't buy it from China, I mean, we buy drivers from Mexico and from Taiwan because we're Buy American compliant. So we're
Right.
using trade act agreement companies or trade act agreement countries where they're manufacturing the product. However, that's not made in the USA. Doesn't matter if it's a trade act agreement country or not. Makes no difference. And so it's virtually impossible to make a made in the USA light fixture. Because you have chips and drivers that are being made offshore. Now, I mean, hopefully, we found a chip and a driver manufacturer that's in the United States, but I mean, it's a 20 to 25% premium for that
Yeah.
BABA product,
Yeah,
and
and also the timeline of how long it takes them to, to make the chips to get to you guys to put in the timeline for you to complete the fixture and then meet the timeline of the contract to get the stuff installed at the facility.
yeah, it's always why don't you? What do you mean you don't have it on the shelf? Well, commercially available off the shelf is something that we have from a Buy American client. Our typical lead time for our Buy American products is about 15 days. And I'll tell you, I give this tip to people. If you want to know if it's actually made in the United States, or excuse me, if it's made domestically, let me say it that way.
Okay.
If it's made in the state of Wisconsin, for instance, it, if they quote you something that's 8 to 12 weeks, well, you need to figure how long it takes to get a boat from Hong Kong to Long Beach. And that's about
Okay.
8 to 12 weeks. So you know, if your lead time looks like that, that it is not made here.
Right.
And it's because, you know what, the reason why we have a 15-day lead time is we deliver on a truck, not a boat.
Yeah,
And
exactly. Yeah.
we can usually meet our customers' needs pretty quick, even for very large unit thing. Let's face it, a VA hospital may have, you know, 10,000 troffers in it.
Well,
Um,
you know that's right. And like you and I have always said, you see one VA, you've seen one VA because they're all different.
yeah,
Not one is built the same.
yeah. I mean, they go from, you'll have a one-off building that's got uh, 1,000 fixtures in it, and the building right beside it, and the comment is, well, it's the same building. No, it's not. It was
Yeah.
built two
Well,
years apart. Trust me, it is not the same.
and I know that John sitting behind us, here at the studio,
Yeah.
is a Vietnam vet, goes to the Veterans Hospital there in Vegas, the new one they built, which is totally, totally different than any of the other ones because
Yeah.
it's brand new. They got top-notch doctors, got top-notch equipment and everything. It ain't like that same poor soul that's going down there in Okie land, down in Oklahoma City, or
Yeah.
out there bum F Egypt, over there in Wyoming. You
Yeah,
got
it's
so. I mean,
it's
I know
even
I know John's sitting there behind us going, "Oh yeah, man, you haven't seen my VA,"
yeah,
and we
it's
have. You and I have been involved in it. Matter of fact, you put the lighting in
yeah,
that
it's
VA
I'll
facility.
say in at Vegas in particular, as an example, there are 43 different types of 2x4 troffers in that hospital.
I know because
Yeah.
you put them in.
They're all 2x4s, but they're all different. And we've done projects in VA hospitals that have 32,000 light fixtures in them. It's pretty amazing, some of the size of these things. And I would just say this too, kind of not associated with anything else we've talked about, Steve. I mean, the men and women that have served our country and the men and women that are serving our country now are the heroes of this country, and it should be respected and treated that way.
Exactly.
And
Absolutely. Amen.
anybody that tries to add shade to any one of our veterans or people serving today, well, you know what? They just don't belong here in this country.
Well, yeah, because I mean, just like John working in the studio was in Nam, he's got he's fighting, cancer. He's got his lung messed up from Agent Orange because we use that to kill all the vegetation over there in Nam and stuff. So I mean, shit. Kids that went over to Afghanistan and Iraq are now taking chemo treatment because of what the government shot them up with to go over there to that they didn't know what was there. So they're fighting that disease now for the rest of their lives. So yeah, they definitely should be, and get the top notch medical care that they need.
They deserve the best of everything that the United States has to offer because they gave their best.
Exactly.
And and,
Hey,
and
so
it's
what's
terrible.
new? So what's new in the LEDs? Because every time I talk to you, it's like, hey man, guess what? The LEDs we put in last month are now outdone by this month because we've gotten increased the chips, the light coming out of the chip or the energy it's using is less than the chips that we put in like 30 days ago. So where are we today?
Yeah, I think that where we are today, that the efficiency rates have um, not gone up as quickly now.
Oh, they
We,
slowed
we're
down a
we
little
yeah,
bit.
we're
They're 60,
reaching
90 days good.
we're reaching a term limit on where we are with the efficiency of chip. What we can do is design fixtures better, because remember,
Okay.
the chip is just one piece of it,
Right.
and the chip itself has to be put into a delivery device. That delivery device impacts the chip's life and impacts its efficiency. And so the way you manage that chip in the fixture dictates how what kind of light level you'll get out of it. And the thing is that's
Okay.
important about that is as we get better at designing fixtures, which at Orion we're really good at it. because we have some of the highest efficiencies, the actual light level being put in the area to be used that are available. We're over 217 watts, 217 lumens per watt. Nobody's even close to that. And
Wow.
what that means is we can put less wattage in the building and produce the same amount of light. And what that does is it all comes back to where we were when we started doing this 25 years ago. It's still about the energy that the building uses. And
Exactly.
it's a finite amount that we have of electricity. Regardless of how much we want to produce, we still got to get it to the building. And
That's right. Hey,
that's where
so
we struggle.
So I know that the VA, hospitals have certain light fixtures that they got to have, which is different than, post offices, which is different than the military bases, which is different than the data centers. So I know that you got specific fixtures, working for the different rooms of the hospitals. Hey, with the data centers being the energy hogs now that everybody's out there chasing, right? The reduced energy coming in that's being used at those facilities or that section of the building. Is there anything that you guys are doing specifically in the lighting side of it to cut that lighting down in the LEDs? Because I know when you put, and I know you and I have had this conversation, and we don't use strip LEDs because they burn, they start fires. We've seen that on naval ships, and they make convenience stores so freaking bright it looks like you're going walking into the sun. I'm just curious what's going in on the data centers.
Well, the data centers, it's always struck me that whenever you walk into any data center platform, the lights are always on. Now,
Right.
I'm pretty sure the computers aren't afraid of the dark.
Okay.
So in the way my deference in data centers is, let's start turning stuff off. The problem that you have with data centers in doing that, the load for data centers is HVAC. It's the cooling
Right.
that's required, and how we get rid of that heat that those boards and those mainframes produce.
Exactly.
And so, if we try to censor light fixtures in there to see a human body at 98 degrees, we need to make sure that we have balance in there that it can do that. I would turn all the lights off in a data center. And so when somebody walks in there, the light comes on. It sees
Right.
a human body, the light comes on. There's no reason to have the lights on in a data center. None. There's
Well,
no
I'm with
human.
you 100%. That's why I'm asking, is because I know that come March we're going to do a data center energy efficient data center forum, in Maryland, in Columbia, and I'm just trying to figure out the lighting side because I know you're the guru that knows everybody in the government. You're the Like I said, you are that Roman soldier out there leading the pack and out front. So I know that if we're going to do this, we need the guru of lighting, EW, showing up to tell everybody, hey, this is what we ought to be doing. This is what we can do. So I'm just trying to get a jump start on March of into your travel schedule that you might need to be up in Columbia, Maryland on the 12th of March. Okay.
I'll write it down right now. I will, and I would love to be there, and I will be there if as long as the creek doesn't rise too high.
Well, that's good because, like I said, anytime we're doing any training anywhere, like at the Navy base or, we're doing the border crossings, any of this stuff, first phone number I pick up is yours. Like, hey, EW, can you come here? Hey, can you tell me what's going on here so you can educate these folks? Because it's all about what we learn from other people in education. And I know that you're out there, hosting classes, teaching classes. That's why I was joking about you being home today because I figured somebody would have you
Yeah.
somewhere hosting like an hour or 2 hour training class somewhere, even if you could do it virtually from your house.
Yeah, well, I'm one of those guys that I do love the microphone. So, if you hand me a microphone, I can do 90 minutes on something I don't even know anything about.
Yeah, they used to say that about me too. Like, hey, this speaker didn't show up, Stevie. Hey, can you go in there and talk for like 30, 40
We've
minutes?
done that before, haven't we?
Yes, we have. So, hey, W, I'm glad you came on, got some stuff straightened out because that Baba Act is something I know a lot of manufacturers don't understand. Some of them are starting to understand it to where they're starting to move out and try to catch up to Orion. Okay. And like I said, you're that Roman soldier out front. So Ryan's out there in front of everybody dealing with, it's not BA, it's Baba, and this is what you got to have. And I see you guys all over LinkedIn and Instagram and Facebook posting stuff about what projects you're doing, what Orion is doing out front, dealing with the Baba Act, and that stuff is Baba. I know you taught some of the folks that went up to it wasn't Light Fair. I forget what the lighting conference was in New York. It wasn't Light Fair, but it was in New York that you guys had a booth at. And I told a lot of people going up there to go by your booth and so that they could get educated and learn what Baba is. And they did. And they came back and said, thank you. So I just want you to know I steer everybody your way to understand Baba, because you're about one of the few folks that know what Baba really is.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity to talk to you this morning, Steve. It's always one of those things where, again, if I can talk about lighting, I'm pretty much in the zone when it comes to that. And
well, you're one of the front runners, and I like how you are with the LEDs, because I remember, because you used to be one. Let everybody know that you were anti-LED when they first came out because of the cost and everything. But you would
Yep.
say, hey, if you want to put them in and you want to pay me this amount of money, I'll put them in. But right now, I don't believe in it yet.
Yep.
And then it's come to where it does make sense, economical sense, lighting sense, to where you're that leader out front now telling everybody. And
Yeah,
we
no
pick
reason.
on you. We still pick on you for saying, I don't believe in it.
I will tell you today that there is no reason to have any other type of technology in your building or on your building or outside your building other than LED. If you do, you are wasting money, period. That
There you
is the
go.
bottom line.
And you've heard it from the guru of lighting. We're just going to call you W, the lighting guru.
So I appreciate you having me on today. It's always an honor, and my best to our veterans and the guys that are behind the camera. Again, they are the people that the reason why I do what I do, or am able to do what I do, is because of them.
Exactly. Period. Amen, brother. And with that, EW, hey, have a great day.
Yep.
Rest up, because I know starting next week, you'll probably be on a plane at least 50, 70 times in 2025.
Yeah, we'll do that, man. That's for sure.
All right. Now, hey, I'll send you a note on the March 12th to come in on the 11th and be there for the 12th. And then if you want, you can stick around for Tim Unruh's NIASCO meeting in D.C. His federal meeting is that Thursday the 13th.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll probably be at that. I didn't go this year because I was tied up with something else, but I'll probably certainly be able to do that.
Well, that's the reason why we put it on the 12th, so you could come in, do the speaking there, and then go from Columbia, Maryland by Lyft or Uber, because I know you ain't renting a car. No. To go down to D.C. for the meetings on Thursday. So with that, EW, have a great day. Happy New Year, and we'll start working on stuff starting on Monday.
Yes, sir. Happy New Year, bud. See you soon.
Do you like a good cigar? Not me. I like a great cigar. And if you enjoy a great cigar, like these guys, then you want SGC cigars. Not only do you get a great smoke, but a portion of the proceeds from each cigar goes to help the children. And let's face it, it's all for the kids. And if it ain't fun, we ain't doing it. Enjoy. Did somebody say cigars? Well, hey, plan on coming down to the SGC Big Easy Let It Burn Cigar Party on February 6, 2025, 7:30 till, who knows when. Timberlane Country Club, West Bank, New Orleans, hosted by Mike Bankston, Daryl Clack, and benefiting the Cafe Hope and NOLA Children's Hospital. Be there.